Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, an easy way to support the channel is by leaving a like, by leaving a comment, or by subscribing if you have not already done so. All these things do help with the algorithm and my ranking as well on YouTube. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. In a near mimic of the last week or so, a technical indicator is suggesting that the price of Bitcoin may start surging in the near future. That says future, but I know it means future. After forming a bullish cross that has only been seen twice in the history of Bitcoin, the last one happening 8 years ago. Popular cryptocurrency analyst TechDev reported and pointed out that the cryptocurrency's stochastic RSI indicator is showing a bullish cross between 20 and 80, and pointed out that this cross only happened in May 2021 and September 2013 as well. Here's the tweet for it right here, showing the little chart on Twitter. I just woke up once again. I know that's usually my excuse, but if I feel like, seem a little out of it, it's because my eyes just opened up. So I'm trying to, as the cryptocurrency's price is moving higher, the RSI, a momentum indicator used in technical analysis, has dropped from overvalued, where Bitcoin previously was before for some reason, sure, why not? While the RSI is a derivative of the price of the underlying asset, the stochastic RSI is a derivative of the RSI itself. As you may have guessed, the amount of news floating around talking about Bitcoin's price has only increased. It says Bitcoin heavy breakout fractal suggests Bitcoin can hit $98,000 in 2021. Novogratz says parabolic moves possible this year. The amount of news about Bitcoin's price, and I guess also the wider cryptocurrency market, usually on any given normal week, we get about a good 8, 9, 10 articles across the board. Usually 5 or 6 of them are about Bitcoin, maybe 2 of them are about Ethereum, and the other stragglers or any other altcoins that are doing exceptionally well that day. There are, every 5, 10, 15 minutes, there's another new data analysis, there's another new wave, there's another new technical analysis, something, which is actually pretty good because they're usually by different analysts and they're all pointing in the exact same direction. Everyone's saying the exact same thing over and over. They are, and it's weird because they're also looking at different charts. Like everyone has their own kind of chart and their own kind of metric as to where prices could potentially go. And they're all saying the exact same thing. They think that this quarter, that is to say, October, November, and December will be incredibly great months for Bitcoin, and this is going to happen to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's price is going to move this way, and Bitcoin's going to do exceptionally well. A lot of institutions are now throwing their weight behind Bitcoin. We had news yesterday. These billion dollar hedge funds are now like, yeah, we own some Bitcoin. We plan on buying more Bitcoin. The banks are buying Bitcoin. So you kind of get the entire thing. We've also had news about a supply shock for quite a long amount of time, so I'm waiting for that to also take place. A lot of people really have, what's the way of saying this? A lot of people forget how limited Bitcoin actually is. There are 900, I think 900 is a 450. I don't remember the exact number. I really can't keep up with all this stuff. Bitcoin being created every single day. The amount of Bitcoin being created every single day is being bought up by 3 companies. And then all the rest of it is kind of just left for institutions to kind of get off of cryptocurrency exchanges. And this is why we keep hearing about the amount of Bitcoin decreasing on cryptocurrency exchanges around the world and over the counter and all these other places because, Bitcoin's quite limited. On top of that as well, the Dogecoin / Shiba Inu news is also like really all over the place now. For those of you who have not been paying attention, Shiba Inu skyrocketed. I think it went up by like 398% or something like that. It says it went up by 400%. Sure, why not? A lot of Dogecoin owners, advocates, lovers are a little annoyed because their coin has not gone up by 400%, and they assume that because Dogecoin came out first, that Dogecoin should have the actual moves. I saw an article. It said something along the lines of, can Dogecoin have a 7,000% breakout? It was something nonsensical. The idea was, over the course of the last year, Shiba Inu has gone up by 7,000%, and therefore, should Doge be able to do the exact same thing? And I was like, not unless you are expecting a $15 Dogecoin this year, which is probably not going to end up happening. So Yeah, all the Doggy Shiba Inu coins roughly started going up at the exact same time. It's still being attributed to Muskie showing off his new dog on Twitter, and therefore everyone loved it or something like that. This was also quite popular news floating around as well. Like, can Dogecoin do the same thing, Shiba Inu? And it's like, if it's going to, it's going to. If the energy simply isn't there, stop trying to force the energy into it. Shiba Inu is having its moment right now. Next week, it may be one of the other Inu something doggy coins, and then we'll be talking about that one. So anyway, yeah, Shiba Inu went up, by a huge amount in like 2 or 3 days. I think it's currently down at the moment by like 15-20% because, it went up by 400% over the course of 3 days. Just a little bit of logic. On top of that as well, I guess tying into price news, if you want to view it the exact same way, the amount of news that we are getting about a Bitcoin ETF, I wish we were not, because what usually ends up happening is during times like this, is tons of people get really hyped when they should not actually be hyped at all. I think one of the easiest things for the cryptocurrency market was simply to be, leveled. As flat as possible as far as optimism. Like trying to, it's not going to happen, but trying to invest with a very clear leveled head. What happens is when you constantly get the news that the SEC is going to maybe, potentially, could be, they're thinking about it, launching or allowing a Bitcoin anything-esque ETF this month, not this year, not next year, this month, it starts causing people to go a little bit crazy. The entire idea is if the US SEC ever does allow a Bitcoin ETF or any other crypto-esque ETF, exchange traded fund, to actually go through, the people who are holding said fund or who have created said fund will begin to actually buy up physical Bitcoin themselves and hold actual Bitcoin. If I wrote this on the test, and you wrote the same exact thing on the test, but we can both get our ETF pushed through. And then other companies do the same, and other companies do the same, and it continues and continues and continues. And then before you know it, you have 300 companies in the United States alone who are holding thousands and thousands of Bitcoin. That's kind of the idea of the reason for a price increase. If the institutions can really get into it because the SEC signed their name at the bottom, well, then by golly, that's how it works. We keep getting news and have been getting news over the last couple of years. They're going to approve one. We're thinking they're going to approve one. They're going to approve one. I don't think the US SEC is going to approve one anytime soon. I think they have it's not even a method to their madness. They're trying to get control over something that they can't get control over. I'm pretty sure that they also push the narrative, this is my opinion, that markets won't move until we say yes. If you were here many years ago, the entire idea was Bitcoin is going to move because people can actually use Bitcoin. When we have the Lightning Network and people can use Bitcoin as an actual currency, people will start to use it. We knew even years ago that the US dollar was going to start inflating. We didn't know about 19 too much, but the entire idea was, eventually the US would print itself out of control. People would turn to Bitcoin as another means of engagement for so-and-so. The supply would drop, the quarterly halvings, yada, 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 that entire story. But at some point in 2017, we started hearing that the only way that Bitcoin would go up is if we had futures. Okay, well now the only way that Bitcoin is going to go up is if we have regulations. Sure, okay. Now the only way that Bitcoin is going to go up is if we have an ETF approved by this one a regulator in the United States. So the story has constantly become more and more, the word isn't dry, I don't know what to call it, like more slimmed down, shaved down as time has gone on. So anyway, for those of you not looking at the screen, it says, will Bitcoin repeat 2017's historic bull run if the US SEC approves a Bitcoin ETF? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the story's been pushed out so long by them and by many other institutions that we need this thing. If even the other more seasoned investors hear at some point that there is a Bitcoin ETF approved by the US SEC, they themselves will start running into the market and buying up as much Bitcoin as possible. As Bitcoin's price is going up, and we've been hearing about this news for the last 2 years, even retail investors, everyday normal people will simply go, Bitcoin's price is moving up. I heard about something about an ETF before. They finally got one. So of course, yes, prices will rise. But I think this hyper excitement that the SEC is going to approve a Bitcoin ETF this month is getting a little bit out of control. And I think people need to really pull it back. Don't even think about a Bitcoin ETF. Don't even try to go in the direction of a Bitcoin ETF. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, Bitcoin is still going to hit $100,000 regardless of what the US SEC says, because there are already Bitcoin ETFs and ETNs and ETPs around the planet. It's a big planet. It's not just one country. And I think people forget about that a lot of times. This news keeps popping up because also on top of that as well, and this was being pushed in the news as a, well, here we go kind of thing. The US SEC has approved the Volt Crypto Industry Revolution and Tech ETF, providing investors with easy access to companies with significant exposure to Bitcoin. So the US SEC has approved an ETF that allows people to invest in companies that have invested in Bitcoin. And this is being touted as, squeezed as, people are like, well, this is clearly the first Bitcoin-esque ETF, when it's not. The exchange-traded fund, which was approved on Tuesday, is intended to track so-called Bitcoin Industry Revolution companies, which are defined as entities that hold a majority of their net assets in Bitcoin or derive a majority of their earnings from Bitcoin mining, lending, or transacting, according to an SEC filing. 80% of the fund's holdings will be allocated to such companies, the prospectus has stated. The new ETF will appear as a New York Stock Exchange ARCA listing under the symbol BTCR. So yes, an SEC ETF has been approved that is allowing people to invest in Bitcoin companies, which is very easy to get approval for, because that's what many other stocks and other funds are doing. You can say, hey, I want to only invest in these 15 companies who are investing in soybeans. Hey, these 35 companies are investing and or digging into the ground to get gold. I want to make an ETF for them. It's very, very easy to get approval for that. It says SEC approves ETF for Bitcoin Revolution companies. I mean, patting yourself on the back is an understatement there. Portfolio includes Tesla and Twitter. And yeah. This one says Bitcoin ETF approval expected by month's end. Prominent hedge fund puts more weight behind Bitcoin. If you have friends who are getting hyped about this, if you yourself are getting hyped about it, calm down. I'm trying to tell, I mean this. This is not the first time that we've had an expectation of the SEC trying to push one of these things through. This happened last year. I think there were about 7 different companies who were trying to get a Bitcoin ETF pushed through. It didn't happen for any of them. In 2019, it was the same thing. In 2018, that was a very big year. I think at one point we had about 16 or 17 companies who were trying to get this to go through. They pushed it to the 45-day extension period, which the SEC is allowed to do so as they sit behind their desks doing nothing. And then at some point, at the end of the 45 days, I mean, a day or two before, the markets were already moving up because people kept on saying, this is it. I feel it. I've been talking. Bloomberg analyst, so and so and so. And then lo and behold, it doesn't end up taking place. So Bitcoin will hit 6 figures just off of supply and demand. I cannot tell you if it is going to happen today, if it is going to happen tomorrow, if it's going to happen sometime this year. But mathematically, with the amount of people in the market who are buying up tons of Bitcoin every single day, it is going to happen. We do not need a US SEC ETF for that to happen. However, if it does happen, of course, prices will skyrocket, but prices will skyrocket regardless of what happens. Anyway, that's the SEC news. This was, of course, floating around all over the place. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, and I guess it's because I think people like whoever, whatever. I was going to say something quite crude, but I won't say it. You ever heard the phrase, it's not even biting the hand that feeds you. It's more like the hand that you're feeding, you're okay with them biting you, if that kind of makes any sense. Bitcoin has led a 35% rally this week by soaring far above the $50,000 resistance level and restoring a $1 trillion market cap. That is insane. According to a note shared by JP Morgan with clients on Thursday, the recent increase in Bitcoin's price was predominantly attributed to institutional investors looking for a hedge to inflation. They said the reemergence of inflation concerns among investors have renewed interest in the usage of Bitcoin as an inflation hedge, arguing that there has been a shift in perception as to the merits of Bitcoin in relation to gold. They said institutional investors appear to be returning to Bitcoin perhaps seeing it as a better inflation hedge than gold, which is exactly what we were just reading. And when I talk about the hand biting you, you may have seen earlier this week, and I refused to add it to a video because I just can't mentally anymore. There are two things that always happen when Bitcoin is rising in price. When Bitcoin is moving sideways, there's not really this kind of news. When Bitcoin is going down, you may get one or two people, and it's usually that the gold bull guy, the guy who's really annoying on Twitter. That you may get news from him. However, when Bitcoin is really doing well, two types of news pop up. If you've been here long enough, I'm going to give you a second to say it. I can't hear you, so I'm just waiting into the air. The first one is Tether news. There's always some type of negative Tether news, and that's been popping up in the last day and a half because it's meant to scare you to get out of the market. It's very old. It's very 2016, 2017, and they're still trying to use the same exact tricks about Tether to talk about Tether. Remember how we had this was about a month and a half ago, how there was some type of news about the U.S. Department of Justice and so whatever, some long letter thing, talking about Tether, you did something wrong. And then when you read the actual article, it's about something that was alleged against them in 2017. So it has nothing to do with right now. There's a lot of Tether news once again like that trying to pop up to get people scared to get out of the market. The other second news is Jamie Dimon. He's an entire category by himself. Jamie Dimon, over the last 2.5 days, timing right, has popped into the news quite frequently to talk about how Bitcoin is garbage, Bitcoin is this, Bitcoin has no usage. And I'm like, we all know that JP Morgan is buying Bitcoin. We know that JP Morgan is into Bitcoin. We know that JP Morgan is buying into companies that are holding Bitcoin. It's not, we're not that dumb. For those of you who don't even understand exactly what I'm really getting to is sometime last year, we found out, really interesting, JP Morgan and many other banks, this is common knowledge, they send out private information, if you will, wink, wink, to their largest investors. It's usually a newsletter, an email. I don't know how they send out rich stuff. And basically, they say where current market trends are going and what they suggest their investors should maybe potentially be getting into. And we saw the news last year that got leaked from one of their big clients who basically the newsletter or whatever said, hey, Bitcoin's going to go up to 6 figures, start buying it right now. And that leaked to us and everybody was like, why would JP Morgan be saying something like that? So it's kind of ridiculous whenever Jamie Dimon continues getting in the news and saying, hey, I don't like Bitcoin. Stop buying Bitcoin. We're totally not buying Bitcoin because we know that they are. So the news is, once again, that JP Morgan analysts continue to come to the exact same conclusion that we've had for about 2 years. Maybe they're just finally opening up their books right now. We know that institutions are into Bitcoin. We know that all the banks are buying up Bitcoin. We know that countries are buying up Bitcoin. And we know that gold really isn't that amazing anymore. Sorry if you actually love gold. You can try and find the chart. I don't have the chart right here. I apologize for that. Not really. There's a chart floating around that shows, I think over the last 5 to 6 years, if you had invested in Bitcoin and Litecoin and gold and silver, like all these, I think 10 different assets, if you had invested in them, every single cryptocurrency is up by several 1,000% over the last couple of years. And I think gold is up by like 1.5%. I think it was even in red on one of the charts. And it's like, yeah, because it's gold. Like the only people who are really hyper invested into gold are the 90-year-olds who got into gold when they were like 20-something years old, and that was the only investment vehicle that you could really get into without trying to dive into stocks and stuff like that. So, the younger generation, everything is digital. Our music is... Remember years ago when we had like cassettes and then CDs? Remember those like little tiny CDs that they were trying to also like push everywhere and then eventually became an MP3, and we were like, what does an MP3 mean? And now like you like own your music if it's like a digital file on your computer. That's how the world is moving. No one is going to be lugging around gigantic pieces of metal that someone found in the ground and chipping away at it to go buy a bag of Fritos. Anyway, so yeah, this was, I think this is all part of the same exact news thing. Yep. Institutional investors dump gold for Bitcoin, seeing it as a better inflation hedge. JP Morgan analyst says institutional investors see Bitcoin as an inflation hedge. That's because it is. Anyway, that's the JP Morgan Chase news. I won't bring you any more Jamie Dimon news unless he finally admits that he owns Bitcoin. We know that his kids own Bitcoin. Get it together, dude. Anyway, so JP Morgan has come to the exact same conclusion that we've come to many times before. I'm glad they finally got there. Anyway, that's that news. Let's move on. Next up, the leading global asset management firm Invesco Limited has announced its exclusive partnership with Galaxy Digital Holdings Limited, which has led to the launch of 2 new passively managed crypto exchange traded funds, or ETFs. They're called the Invesco Alerian Galaxy Crypto Economy ETF SATO and the Invesco Alerian Galaxy Blockchain Use. Oh, stop it. The Invesco Alerian Galaxy Blockchain Users and Decentralized Commerce ETF BLKC. They don't have smaller names anymore. Why? That will be listed on the CBOE Global Markets. The asset management giant noted that these ETFs will be dedicated to enabling a secure passage for financial entities to invest in digital assets and blockchain. The mentioned ETF will offer global public companies and select investors a vehicle to regulate a path into the decentralized market. Furthermore, both ETFs will also sustain a certain share of an investment vehicle that directly holds physical Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So cool. Invesco has launched 2 ETFs with Galaxy Digital. I'm not reading out those names again. To follow crypto DeFi companies. That was very long sentences and I don't understand why they were so ridiculous. Cool. More reason to get bullish, right? Because Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market won't move up without these things. That was a lie. Yeah, sure. This was also quite popular. Not really that popular, but anytime that we get anything like a new crypto-esque ETF, we're told to be excited about it. But it's just the same. It's just them trying to lock crypto into the old system and to get you to believe that the only way for our market to move up is by mimicking the old system. We'll be just fine with our old system. So cool. I'm glad that they got their ETFs because, it's not easy doing that in the US, but Merry Christmas. Let's move on. Also in popular news that no one really cares about, Binance is planning to establish new corporate offices in Ireland, according to a report from Reuters. In an article dated the 7th of October, Reuters interviewed Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao and asked if the company had plans to establish a headquarters in Ireland. Zhao replied in the affirmative. Zhao also confirmed the statement by saying, historically, we claim that we don't have headquarters because you haven't. This may refer to statements made by Zhao in May in which he explained that the company's employees do not work in a single location because, in the future, we have computers and we have planes and we have boats and we have trains. So there's no actual, how many friends I have who just work from their computer? It's because we have internet. And we're not in the 1930s anymore. So it just makes it, especially I would not even assume that any tech company has anyone working inside of an office anymore. I just completely would not even assume that. As such, the company does not have a single main headquarters, as they shouldn't. And its new Ireland location or locations would simply be part of a longer or larger network of offices. Sure, why not? So the news that we got before a couple of months ago is that Binance was doing something terrible and illegal, and the terrible and illegal thing was that they didn't have physical locations. I know, right? Really scary. So then they announced that they would have a physical location somewhere in the UK, somewhere in Singapore, I think somewhere in Japan maybe as well. I think there's also going to be multiple US offices and somewhere else wherever they deem fit to actually have one. So the news is, Ireland can't wait till they have a physical location just, to appease regulators. Do regulators not have an email address? Like, can they not email these people? Or, even more simply be like, hey, we noticed something is a little bit off. Can you email us? Can you call us? I know that you're going to Tokyo tomorrow, but if you could come to our offices instead, that seems a bit more realistic, but, still in the 1930s. Will we ever leave out of the 1930s? I'm not sure. Anyway, so cool. This was kind of news all over the place news. Not that anyone actually cares, because we also all live in the future and understand that they don't need a physical location, but, regulators going to regulate. Anyway, moving on. And to finish things off, that's actually a pretty cool picture. Okay, I'll give it to them. The amount of Ethereum that is being held by miners has reached record levels in the United States dollar terms as they remain reluctant to sell. The balance held by Ethereum miners is the largest it has been since shortly after the network was launched 5 years ago. When converted to US dollars, it is a historic peak of 1.85 billion US dollars according to Sentiment. Once again, the idea is we have this metric that the people who are mining cryptocurrencies, if they are selling them off in rapid succession, they do not, for whatever reason, believe that prices are going to go up. However, those people are wearing masks. What does Ethereum smell like? That is really weird. I don't understand. Okay, you see that, right? This is a little off. Okay. The other part is if they are holding on to the coins, it's usually, and we've historically seen this as a yes, they believe that prices are going to go up quite high, and therefore, why would you sell something for $1 when you could sell it for 15? That's kind of the idea. So yeah, all signs, as far as we know, as far as the news that we are getting, is pointing to either a price increase or everyone simply believing that there's going to be a price increase. I think we are completely well overdue. We have had this news since, February. It's abundantly clear that cryptocurrencies are not only here to stay, they're extremely mainstream. Everyone buys them and loves them or has their own across the entire board. I don't know many people who don't have crypto or aren't into crypto, even outside of my circle. There's a lot of people who are quite inquisitive as well. Like, how do I get these things? Because everyone wants to be in the market in some sort of way. So yeah, we'll see. We're currently in Q4, and I guess by December 31st, we will know whether or not, Ethereum has done a 4x, as they're saying. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Professor Wally from Gunby University, and let's move on. Chris, Hakeem Williams, Empire Queen, Stake It With Valor, Fud, Wiser, Mortified. Roman, Gaba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Red Plum, Tomato, Umnu, Wish Nikki, the letter M, Stephen Dirks, Not Brain, Captain Something, and the Z-Way, Lay, Crypto, Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy 655, and Carlos was like, Mobarazi, Joe Shaw, Show, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Gro, Lay, Lauren, Silva, Quotability, Bare Bones, Mining, Troy, Olga, Space Case, got that right, Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Conan, Noska, Black Day, Snacky Chan, Tolik, Banana, Suspicious, Agile, and Blockchain, Navarro, Williams, David James, Attila, the Han, Yasha, Harari, Utopia 569, Moonman, High, Zerp, Martin Stoyer, Nostromo, John Sarsin, The Animal Reader, Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohamed Maroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Jared Schneider, Wise Knight, Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cold E3D, Damien, Setsuna, Richie Richard III, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Nick Mangialavodi, Jim Gardner, Jemmy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller His Just Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day, Yes to Crypto, Bodie McButtface, Anytime Fitness, Monster on his staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Macho Nisa, On Crypto with Lionel, Crayola Michelle, URL, and Bolero Bastos. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, comments, or subscribed, or is still here listening to me talking about this ridiculous market. At the momento, Bitcoin is currently at 54,446. You see this roller coaster action happening over here. It looks a bit intense, but it's nothing to really even think about. Ethereum is up by 0.75 percentile points. I think it's going to be a very interesting weekend. I can kind of feel it in the air. Cardano is up by 2.9%. It is currently at $2.22. Polkadot is up by 6%. Lunaterra is up by 11%. Avalanche is up by okay, I'll stop making jokes. Is up by 5%. Algorand is up by 3.5%. That's what I get for making fun of the market. Shiba Inu is currently down by 31%. To be fair, it went up by 400%, so a 31% pullback is just totally fine, in realistic terms. Cosmos is up by 2. Phantom is up by 23% as well. Elrond, eGold, Eron is up by 12%. Clay is up by 7. Near is up by 7. Quant is up by 5. Oh, look at that. The devil has returned. Anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day. Wait for it. A great Friday. Yeah, enjoy your Friday. Hope you all have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, supporting, watching, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See